He might never actually say it. And honestly, that might be the biggest sign that he really means it. Because, okay, I know that sounds completely backwards, like that makes no sense at all. But just stay with me for a second. Most of us grew up thinking love looks a certain way. That when a man is really in love with you, like actually in love, not just comfortable, not just enjoying having you around, but genuinely gone for you, he's going to say it. The words are going to come out eventually because the feeling is just too big to keep inside. So when he doesn't say it, when the moment is right there and he still doesn't, most women go straight to the same place. They think, okay, maybe it's just not that deep. Maybe I'm reading into things. Maybe what I thought was love is actually just him being used to me. And that thought, once it gets in your head, it just sits there. Even when things are good, even when nothing is actually wrong, it just quietly keeps asking, but does he really? Like actually really? Or is he just here because it's easy and leaving feels like too much effort? And you start watching everything he does a little more carefully, trying to find proof one way or the other. And you can't fully relax into it because you just don't know. You don't have a clear answer, and nobody ever gave you a way to actually find one. Here's what I want to say about that before we get into anything else. That feeling you have, that quiet uncertainty, that's not you being insecure or paranoid or too much. That's just what happens when you really care about something and you don't have a clear way to read it. You were never taught how to actually see love when it's not coming out in words. Nobody sat you down and said, hey, here's what it actually looks like when a man is completely in love with you but just can't get the words out. So you've been trying to figure it out on your own and it's been exhausting. That's exactly what this is going to fix. There are 7 signs, 7 specific things that show up when a man is genuinely, madly in love with you, even when he hasn't said it out loud yet. And when you know what to look for, 2 things happen at the same time. You stop second guessing everything and you start actually seeing what's been right in front of you the whole time. Before we get into it, hit like right now if you've ever been with someone who you just knew felt something real but couldn't quite get the words out. Because that feeling is exactly what today is going to help you make sense of. Okay, so most women, when they're trying to figure out if a man really loves them, they're looking at the same few things. They're listening to what he says, how often he tells her she's beautiful, how much he talks about his feelings, how openly he expresses himself. And look, it's really nice when a man does that. Nobody's saying it isn't. But words are honestly the easiest thing to produce. Some men say all the right things and feel almost none of it. And some men can barely get a full sentence out about how they feel. And they are completely entirely gone for the woman they're with. So words alone, they're just not the whole picture. Then there's how much time he gives her. Does he make plans? Does he show up? Is she a priority? Or is she always kind of an afterthought? And time does matter. It genuinely does. But a man can spend a lot of time with someone out of habit, out of comfort, because being with her is easy and starting over sounds exhausting. That's not love. That's just inertia. You can share your whole life with someone and still not have that deep thing underneath, that real thing. So time by itself doesn't tell you what you actually need to know either. And then women look at how he acts in public. Does he talk about her to his friends? Does he show her off? Does he make it clear to the people in his life that she's his? And sure, that's a good sign. But some men are just really private. They don't post, they don't announce, they don't make big declarations, and they are absolutely crazy about their person. And some men do all of that, and it's honestly pretty shallow underneath. So even that doesn't really give you the full answer. Here's what it actually comes down to. Most women are looking at the surface stuff, the easy to see stuff. And the real signs, the ones that actually tell you something true, are way quieter than that. They're in the small moments, the ones that don't look like much from the outside. And when you know what they are, you can't unsee them. So let's get into it. The first sign is that he remembers the tiny things, not the big stuff, not your birthday, not your favorite restaurant, not the things that are easy to remember because they're obvious. The small things, the things you mentioned once in passing and completely forgot you even said. The specific way you like your coffee. That one thing that happened at work 2 weeks ago that was stressing you out. That random thing you said you wanted to try someday that you only brought up once. He remembered it. And not in a showy way where he makes a big deal out of it. He just quietly remembered and then did something about it without making it a whole thing. And here's why that matters so much more than it looks like it does. Remembering small things is not something you do when someone is just kind of around in your life. Your brain doesn't hang on to random little details about people you're just comfortable with. It holds on to things about the people who actually matter to you. When someone is always kind of running in the back of your mind, their details stick. The little things they said, the little things they like, the little worries they mentioned, it all just stays. Because you're thinking about them even when they're not there. So when he remembers the small stuff, the stuff you barely even remember saying yourself, that's not him trying to impress you. That's him showing you, without meaning to, that you're always kind of there in his head. And that's one of the most real things a person can do. You can fake a lot of things in a relationship. You cannot fake paying attention to someone when you don't actually care about them. Not consistently, not with the tiny details. That's real, and it means something. The second sign is that he gets a little weird when you're around other men. Not controlling, not jealous in a dramatic way, just a little off, a little quieter, a little more tuned in to what's happening. Maybe he moves a bit closer without thinking about it. Maybe he touches your arm or your back in a way he doesn't usually do. Maybe he just gets slightly more present all of a sudden. And it's subtle enough that you might have almost missed it, but it's there if you pay attention. And I want to be clear here because this is important. There's a version of this that's not okay. Controlling behavior, getting angry, making you feel like you did something wrong just by talking to someone, that's not love. That's something else entirely, and it's a problem. But what I'm talking about is the quiet version, the version where he just gets a little more aware when you're laughing with someone else or when another man is clearly interested in you. That little shift, that small but noticeable thing. Because here's what that actually is. That's him caring. That's him feeling something when he imagines losing you, even in a small, passing, totally hypothetical way. A man who is just comfortable with you doesn't feel that. A man who likes having you around but isn't deeply in love with you can see another guy flirting with you and feel basically nothing because you're not that important to him at that level. But a man who is genuinely gone for you, even the idea of someone else having your attention does something to him. And his body shows it before his brain even decides to. That little shift is him loving you louder than any words could. The third sign is that he checks in for no reason. Not because something is happening. Not because he needs something from you. Not to make plans or answer a question. He just texts you in the middle of a random Tuesday to say something dumb or ask how your day is going or send you something he saw that made him think of you for no reason, with no agenda. Just because you crossed his mind and he wanted to reach out. This sounds so small. I know it sounds small. But think about your own life for a second. Think about the people you randomly check in on just because. The people you see something funny and immediately think of them. The people you want to tell about the boring parts of your day, not because anything exciting happened, but just because talking to them feels good. Those aren't the people you're just used to having around. Those are the people who actually matter to you. You don't do that for people you're just comfortable with. You do it for the people who are living in your head a little bit. So when he reaches out with nothing to gain from it, no reason, no agenda, just because he was thinking about you, that's not him being bored. That's him being in love. And it's showing up in the most honest way possible, which is the way that looks like nothing at all. The fourth sign is that he's actually present when you talk. Like actually there, not on his phone, not half listening while he thinks about something else, not waiting for you to finish so he can say what he wants to say. He's in it. He asks follow-up questions. He remembers what you said and brings it back up later. He looks at you when you're talking. And when something is clearly bothering you, he notices, even if you didn't say anything directly, he picks up on the small shifts, the way your voice changes a little, the way you're not quite yourself. And he doesn't let it go. He asks about it. He cares enough to notice and then to actually say something. Being present is honestly one of the hardest things to fake. We all have a limited amount of mental space and we put it toward the things and people that feel important to us. You can tell someone to listen more carefully, but you can't make them actually care about what you're saying. That part is automatic. It either happens or it doesn't. So when he's genuinely tuned in, when he's catching the small things, when he's remembering the details of what you told him and following up on them later, that's not him performing being a good listener. That's him being one because you matter enough to him that your words just naturally hold his attention. And that is so much more meaningful than it gets credit for. The fifth sign is that he shows up differently when things are hard for you. Not when things are fun and light and easy. Anybody can show up for that. When things are actually hard, when you're stressed or upset or going through something that has nothing to do with him and isn't fun to be around, he doesn't disappear. He doesn't get weird or distant or suddenly really busy. He just stays. Maybe he doesn't say the perfect thing. Maybe he doesn't really know what to do, but he's there. And by being there, he's telling you something he probably couldn't put into words if you asked him to. Because here's what most people do when someone they're with is going through something hard, especially early on or even in a middle stage of a relationship when things are still finding their shape. They pull back a little, not in a mean way, just in a self-protective way. Being around someone in pain is uncomfortable, and most people move away from discomfort without even deciding to. They get busy. They give space. They say, let me know if you need anything, and then they kind of wait for things to get lighter again. But a man who loves you, really loves you, he moves toward you when things are hard. He doesn't need things to be easy to want to be close to you. And that, the moving toward instead of away, is one of the most honest things he can show you, because there's no reward in it. There's nothing to gain from sitting with someone in a hard moment except the feeling of actually caring about them. So if he's doing it, it's real, full stop. The sixth sign is that he makes you feel like your opinions actually matter to him. Not in a surface level way where he nods along and says, yeah, totally. In a real way, he brings things to you. He asks what you think about something going on in his life before he's made up his mind about it. He considers what you say. He sometimes changes how he sees something because of a conversation he had with you. And even when he disagrees with you, he takes your perspective seriously instead of just dismissing it or waiting for his turn to talk. This is a big one because it's easy to overlook. It doesn't feel romantic on the surface. It doesn't feel like a love language. But think about what it actually means when someone genuinely values your opinion. It means they respect you. It means they think highly of the way your mind works. It means they see you as someone whose thoughts are worth something, not just someone they enjoy spending time with. And a man does not genuinely seek out the opinion of a woman he's just comfortable with. He doesn't let her perspective actually shift how he sees things if she doesn't really matter to him at a deep level. When he values what you think, when he actually lets your words land and change something in him, that's him showing you that you're not just someone he loves to be around. You're someone he actually looks up to a little. Someone whose view of the world he cares about. And that kind of respect inside love, that's rare. And it's real. And it goes so much deeper than anything he could say out loud. The seventh sign is the one that ties all the others together. And it's this: he's protective of your peace. Not in a controlling way, not in a way that makes your world smaller, in a quiet way. In the way where he notices when something is wearing on you before you say it. Where he doesn't add to your plate when you're already full, where he tries, even in small ways, to make your life a little bit easier, a little bit lighter, without making it a big thing or needing credit for it. He just does it because your well-being matters to him. Your peace matters to him. You being okay matters to him in a way that feels almost automatic. And this is the thing about this sign specifically. You can feel it when someone is doing it. You might not be able to name it right away, but you can feel it. There's a difference between being with someone who takes from your energy and being with someone who guards it. Being with someone who adds to your stress versus someone who, without even trying, just makes you feel a little more settled, a little more okay, a little safer in your own life. And when a man is doing that, when your peace is something he actively cares about, that doesn't come from nowhere. That comes from loving you. Quietly, deeply, in the way that doesn't always have a word for it, but is maybe the most honest kind there is. Now, here's what I want you to hold on to after all of this. Knowing these 7 signs isn't just about feeling better right now. It's about actually seeing what's in front of you clearly. Because a lot of women who would recognize their relationship in everything we just talked about still do a few things that quietly undo exactly what made him fall so hard in the first place. The first thing is waiting for the words so hard that she stops seeing everything else. She's so focused on him not saying it that she completely misses all the ways he's showing it every single day. And that focus, that waiting, it creates a distance between them because he can feel that she's not quite settled, that something is off. And he doesn't always know why. He just knows she seems like she needs something he doesn't know how to give. The second thing is pulling back to protect herself. She figures if she doesn't fully open up, if she keeps a small wall up just in case, she won't get hurt as bad if it falls apart. And that makes total sense. It really does. But the small wall, he can feel that too. And it's hard to keep pouring into something that isn't fully open to receive it. Slowly, without either of them planning it, she creates the exact distance she was trying to protect herself from. The third thing is turning his quiet love into a problem to solve. She starts pushing for more, needing him to prove it more often, needing bigger gestures, clearer words, more consistent reassurance. And the more she pushes, the more he pulls back, not because the love isn't there, but because it suddenly feels like nothing he does is ever going to be enough. And that feeling shuts a man down faster than almost anything else. The fourth thing is comparing what she has to what she sees other couples doing. She sees the guy who writes long captions about his girlfriend online and wonders why her man isn't like that. She sees her friend's relationship from the outside and it looks a certain way and hers looks different. And she starts measuring what she has against something she's only seeing the highlight reel. And what she has, the real quiet, steady, loving thing right in front of her, starts to look like less than it is, when it's actually more. The fifth thing is not letting herself actually believe it. He's showing up. He's doing all of it. He's there when things are hard. And he remembers the small stuff and he checks in for no reason and he values what she thinks. And she still can't fully let herself believe it's real. Still half waiting for the other shoe to drop. And that guarded place, that not quite fully open thing, it slowly becomes its own kind of wall. And she never quite gets to actually feel the love that's right there waiting for her to receive it. None of this is about things to stress over or a checklist to obsess about. It's just about seeing clearly. Because if you heard yourself in those 7 signs, if you recognized your relationship in what we talked about today, what you have is real. What he feels is real. He remembers the small things because you're always in his head. He gets a little protective because losing you would actually mean something to him. He checks in for nothing because being in touch with you is something he wants, not something he has to do. He's present because your words actually matter to him. He stays when things get hard because you matter more than his comfort. He values what you think because he genuinely looks up to you. And he protects your peace because your well-being is something he cares about in a way that's become automatic. That's not habit. That's not just comfort. That's not two people who fell into something and stayed because leaving felt like too much effort. That's a man who is quietly, completely, genuinely in love with you. He might not have the words for it yet. Maybe he never fully will. But now you can see it. And seeing it clearly, really clearly, is honestly so much better than just hearing it once. If this helped you see your relationship differently, tap like right now. It really does help more women find this. Subscribe and turn on notifications because there's a lot more coming that's going to keep helping you understand what's actually real in front of you. And leave me a comment below. Tell me which of those 7 signs showed up most in your relationship. I read every single one and I genuinely want to know you deserve to feel completely sure about this. And now you actually can.